Hi, this is Abe Wesley. That ain't who tells it like a TI is. If you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like my channel, please subscribe. Topic I'm going to talk to you today about is Nene's interview with Carlos King, which happened last week. Part two was last week. Part one was the week before that. I'm going to start off with part one first. Part one was like an introduction to the interview. They showed Nene in the makeup room getting ready with her glam team. And then she walked out and she high fived Carlos and she said, hey Carlos." And they do the typical thing that's in the black community where they call each other the B word. Then they say hi to each other. So that was kind of like the little introduction. And then he also introduced the audience to Nene and stuff like that. And after the introduction, and they got along. Carlos explained how he first got to know Nene, and Nene said, "Yeah, they both were on the set of the Real Housewives of Atlanta season one, and both of them said it came out in 2008, 2009." And Carlos said that he really didn't want to do it. He said, but one of his friends told him that they're supposed to be having a new reality show coming on in Atlanta, and maybe he should go out there and produce it. Just try. And so he said he went out there on his friend's advice, and he met Nene. And he said right off the bat when he met Nene, Nene was gonna be like the breakout star of the show and stuff like that. And so Nene had interjected and said, "Yeah," because after they introduced all of the ladies to all of the production staff and stuff, she said, "Little did people know that they put you in charge of me, Sheree, and Deshaun." He said, "Oh yeah." He said, "Yeah, I was supposed to be the one that was supposed to be taking y'all under my wing as far as producing and telling y'all what to do and stuff like that." And I didn't know that either until Nene said, "I just thought the girls did on their own." But he said, yeah, they told him he was going to be responsible for those three, and those were the 3 days that he was responsible for. So that was a part of the introduction. And then after that, he asked Nene what does she think about the state of the Real Housewives of Atlanta and stuff like that. And she was saying that she don't watch the show. She don't watch the show, and she was saying she just like some fans. She just watched the clips afterwards, and she said from the little bitty clips she had, she really don't like the show and stuff like that. And she was saying that it's not the same show that she was on. She said the girls on there are okay, but it's nothing to brag about. And Nene was kind of saying some of the same sentiments that the fans are saying. That some of the fans are saying. And so he was saying, well, what do you? He said, well, what do you think? What do you think the show would need for it to come back to its main glory and stuff? She said they would need some ladies that's gonna really work, that's gonna really put it down and stuff like that. And stuff like that. She said it is. It's not the same show. He said, what about some of the new ladies on the show? She said, well. I already know Kandi and Kenya. She said, I kind of met Drew. And she said, Drew is all right. I kind of met Drew. And so she said, what about the other ladies? She said, well, some of them other ladies on there, they got on there now. I really don't know them, but I did meet Drew. And she said, and Carlos said, well, I'm going to say it like this, Nene. They need an anchor. He said one thing about you, you were an anchor. You were able to get the girls together, and sometimes y'all would have your little spats, and then y'all would make up, and then y'all would come back into the girl into the girl group, and just have the show moving on. Y'all would have y'all spats, and then y'all would make up and move on and have a good time on the show. She said, "Yeah, I remember that too, Carlos." And he said, "What about Kandi?" He said, "They claiming that Kandi is the star of the show now." Nene said, well, to me, Kandi is not the star of the show. to me, Kandi is in the background. She's always been in the background, even in her group. He said, well, do you see anybody on ROHA that's a star, that's a star of the show now? Nene said, no. To me, there's no stars of the show. And she was saying, like you said, Carlos, they don't even have an anchor. And he was saying, well, people are saying that Sheree, she said, well, even when I was on the show, the producers didn't look at Sheree as a leader or anchor. They kind of looked at Sheree as in the background. And she said Sheree is doing all right, but Sheree to me don't have the type of personality and style to be a leader or anchor. And Carlos said, well, I agree with you, and stuff like that, and stuff like that. And he said the people are saying even the ratings are not right. And then Nene say, well, from what I heard, and then Carlos said, yeah, y'all used to be y'all used to be from 2,000 to 5,000 views. And she said, oh, he said, what is now with the new show? He said around 500. She said 500,000. She said, whoa, that's let you know something. We used to be 5,000 when I was on there, and it's 500,000 since I'm off of there. Well, the ratings tell you how the show doing, and they both got to laughing about that part. And then, he said, "Well, I'm gonna throw out some names, and you tell me, from different housewife franchises, who's the stars and who are starlets." She said, "Okay." He said, "Cause you did it on the Breakfast Club." She said, "Okay." He said, "What about Giselle Bryant? She's a starlet. What about Robin Dixon? She's a starlet. He said, what about this other person?" He said, they starlets too. She said, like I said, the majority of these new housewives, they nothing but stars. They not stars. And so he said, oh, you said that? She said, yeah. And then it went down to the next thing. And well, Nene, what do you think about this stuff that Bethany Frankel is doing about starting a union for the housewives since they having a strike with the SAG after stuff for writers and producers and stuff like that? And she's saying that the housewives are not getting the money, even the residual money like they're supposed to, because the housewives are being on different streaming platforms and on different TV networks and stuff, showing the reruns and stuff. Nene said, I commend her for doing that. But you say all of the stuff that Bethany been saying is the same stuff that I've been saying behind the scenes, but nobody really wants to listen to me. And she said, what it is? They say, yeah, because when Bethany came on Instagram and on social media, you kind of backed her up and you kind of tweeted her. She said, yeah, because Bethany Frankel can get away with saying some of the stuff, get away with it, and it won't affect her income, her finances. But a person like me, I wasn't working at one time. My finances was down. But see, Bethany Frankel could say stuff like that because she could get away with it when other people cannot get away with it. I did a separate video on this when it first came out on my Housewives T if you want to watch that video. But anyway, Nene was right. Nene was right and stuff like that. So she said that's why she was saying what she was saying. She said what she was saying was some of the same stuff that she was saying long time ago. And then after that, Carlos asked Nene about her dating life, and she was saying that. Before I get to that, he was saying that people were saying about Claudia Jordan. Claudia Jordan was a good addition to the show. She said, "I'll give her that. Claudia Jordan was a good addition to Real Housewives of Atlanta. She was only one. She was only one of the girls that could really throw down with me. All the other ones, I could shade them out. But she said she was the only one. She was like a tough cookie. She was the only one that would go toe to toe with me." And he said, yeah. And she said originally they should have kept Claudia instead of having Demetria on there. She said because Demetria really didn't bring nothing to the show. I mean, I liked Demetria too, but it was like after season 1, Demetria wasn't really interested in it. She's more interested in her singing career. But anyway, Nene did give Claudia her credit. And like Nene said, Claudia has been talking about her badly on Fox Soul and other shows, but she said she did give her that credit. And so I was glad of that. And then he asked Nene about her dating life. And then Nene said that people was talking about she didn't grieve enough. She said people can't tell people how to grieve and stuff like that. And she was saying she did grieve over Greg, but she was saying she was glad that she was in that relationship with Naomi. Well, what is his name? Naomi. Because she said that really did help her a lot, and she said it brought her out of brought her out of that grieving situation. And she was saying, he said, well, you had been preaching to Kim and other people about closing your legs to married men, and people were saying you didn't practice what you preach. She said what it was. Naomi told me. Naomi told me that he was separated from his wife, and so if you separated from your wife, that means that y'all are not married. But that's what he told me. And she said, so by him telling me that, I assumed that the marriage was over and wasn't divorced and stuff. He said, well, Nene, what's going on with you and him now? She said, well, we taking a break. And Carlos said, taking a break. She said, yeah, we're taking a break. She said, what it is, I've been through that before. She was saying, even with Greg, she said, even though me and Greg was started off real young, and he had his law practice, and I was doing my job and a little bit of stripping on the side. She said, as soon as I got on Housewives, stuff started to change. I started making more money, and then Greg started being some kind of way. She said that's the main reason why I divorced Greg, because I had to show him that he wasn't gonna be treating me any kind of way because I was making more money than him. And he was saying, what about your, what about you think about dating? She said, well, I'm gonna be dating. She said, but what it is, I want to make sure the next man I got make more money than I do. She said, because I had to deal with that with Greg, I had to deal with that with Naomi, with Naomi, whatever his name, and so Carlos said, well, Nene, it can't be two stars in the family. She said, no, it can't. She said, one got to be the star and the other one got to be in the background. And Carlos King started laughing. He said, yeah, because you're going to be in the front and stuff. She said, yeah, he always liked to want to be on camera, want to be on film and TV and stuff like that. And so she said, we didn't split up for right now. And so after he talked about her dating and stuff, he also asked her about he asked her about he asked her about the lawsuit, and that was the last part. And she was saying, well, Carlos, it's some stuff that I could talk about, and then there's other stuff I can't talk about. And so he said, well, catch the part two of the episode. All in all, this was a good episode. Nene really didn't talk bad about nobody or anything like that. Oh, before I get on, she did mention about Wendy Williams, and she said she thought Wendy Williams was her friend, and she liked shopping going with Wendy Williams, but Wendy Williams would change on her at a drop of a dime. And when she said that, I said, "Oh, Wendy Williams was going through those mental and psychiatric problems back then, and people just was thinking that she was drinking." And she was saying they would be out to lunch and they'd be talking and having a good time, and then she switch on Nene and ask what they doing at the place, and it was like a lot of people kept stuff a secret, and what it was, Nene didn't say nothing mean or facetious about what you call it. And she said, well, after she talked about Kim Kardashian could put that on a Birkin bag, different stuff, but Nene couldn't. And then she said after she called her window, she said that's when the relationship really kind of crumbled for the worst. But she was saying that she hoped and wished the best for Wendy Williams, and then she also said that Wendy Williams did call her, and she said Wendy Williams initiated the call, and he was saying, well, what was this, before or after? She said no, it was after. It was after that people didn't know if her show was going to be renewed or not. So Nene said she always told Wendy that she gotta have at least two good friends that gonna have her back, and all she had was people who was just tag her on as Wendy Williams. And I sure hate that happened to her. Now, like I was finna say, this is A. Wesley. That ain't even tells it like a Ti is. I am out, and I did like the video.